My name is Emily Carter, and for 29 years, I was a ghost in my own home. In the Carter household, love was a finite resource, and my brother Tyler owned the monopoly. When Tyler broke a window, it was exuberance. When I got it was slacking. I learned it early on that to survive, I had to be useful, but to win, I had to be invisible. By the time I met Daniel, I wasn't just a girl looking for love. I was a woman building an empire in the shadows. My parents thought I was a mid-level manager at a logistics firm. In reality, I was the chief operating officer of a private equity group that specialized in corporate restructuring, a polite term for dismantling companies and selling their bones. Daniel wasn't just a bookstore guy. He was a forensic investigator. For the World Bank, we weren't just a couple. We were a tactical alliance. He saw my scars, and instead of kissing them, he sharpened them into blades. They'll hurt you again. Emily, Daniel had warned me 6 months before the wedding. I know, I replied, looking at the spreadsheet of my father's secret offshore debts. And that will be the last mistake they ever make. The wedding was a masterpiece of bait. I spent $150,000 on a venue overlooking a frozen lake in Washington. I invited my father's biggest business rivals. I invited the socialites my mother desperately wanted to impress. Then came the phone call. 2 weeks before the big day. Tyler's friends are going to Aspen, my mother said, her voice airy, as if she were about to stab me. It's a once-in-a-lifetime ski trip, Emily. He's already paid. And your father and I. Well, Tyler shouldn't be alone on his first big trip since his incident. The incident was a DUI that I had paid $50,000 to keep out of the papers. So you're leaving my wedding? I asked, my voice devoid of emotion. We'll be there for the iDoze, honey. But we have a 9 p.m. flight. You understand, don't you? It's just a party. I looked at Daniel, who was sitting across from me, sipping a glass of expensive scotch. He saw the look in my eyes. The invisible girl was dead. The Ice Queen had arrived. Let them go, Daniel whispered. The higher they fly, the harder the impact. The wedding day was freezing. My mother spent the morning complaining that my dress was too flashy for someone of my stature. Tyler arrived smelling of expensive gin, his ski goggles already hanging around his neck like a trophy. The ceremony was a blur. When I said I do, I wasn't promising to love Daniel. I was promising to destroy anyone who stood against us. At the reception, the atmosphere was tense. My father was busy networking with men who, unbeknownst to him, were already on my payroll. At 8:15 p.m., exactly as planned, my parents and Tyler stood up. They didn't even wait for the speeches. Great party, Tyler said, clapping Daniel on the back. Don't be a stranger. Oh, Tyler, I said, a small, dark smile playing on my lips. I'm going to be closer than you think. As the doors closed behind them, a hush fell over the room. The guests looked at me with pity. They saw a rejected daughter. They didn't see the predator. Daniel stood up. He didn't look like the calm, steady man my parents ignored. He looked like a judge delivering a death sentence. Ladies and gentlemen, Daniel began, his voice echoing through the hall. My wife's family has left to catch a flight to Aspen. They believe that a ski trip is more valuable than their daughter's heart. They believe they are leaving a party. What they don't realize is that they are leaving their lives behind. He signaled to the waiter, who switched on the massive projector screens. Instead of a growing-up Emily video, the screen displayed a series of bank statements, legal filings, and wire transfer receipts. Richard Carter, Daniel's voice was cold. For 10 years, you have used your daughter's signature to forge loans to pay for your son's gambling debts. You have embezzled $4.2 million from your own employees' pension funds. The room gasped. My father's business partners turned pale. And Tyler, I stood up, taking the microphone. My golden brother, while you're in the air, The Colorado police are waiting at the gate, not for a ski trip, but for the $200,000 worth of narcotics we found anonymously, reported in your checked luggage. I looked at the clock. 9:45 p.m. They were in the air. They were trapped. The revenge wasn't just a speech. It was a total erasure. While they were at 30,000 feet, Daniel and executed the blackout protocol. The home, my father's mansion, wasn't his. I had bought the mortgage through a shell company 6 months ago. At 10 p.m., a private security team arrived and changed every lock. My mother's jewelry, her designer bags, my father's vintage car collection, it was all seized. The business, I filed the whistleblower report with the SEC at 10:15 p.m. By the time the markets opened on Monday, the Carter Group would be a smoking ruin. The identity, I had frozen every credit card, every line of credit, and every offshore account my father thought was safe. I knew the passwords because I was the one who set them up for him. When the plane landed in Denver, reality hit them like a freight train. Tyler was the first to fall. As he stepped off the plane, federal agents swarmed him. The narcotics I'd mentioned, it wasn't just drugs. It was a laptop filled with the illegal transactions he had made using the company's IP address transactions I had carefully guided him toward over the last year. My parents watched in horror as their golden boy was tackled to the ground. Then, my father tried to call his lawyer. Service disconnected. The phone read. He tried his credit card at a kiosk to buy water. Declined. He tried his backup card. Declined. That's when his phone rang. It was me. "How's the snow, Dad?" I asked, my voice as smooth as silk. "Emily, what is happening?" "Tyler's been arrested. Our cards aren't working. Call the lawyer." "The lawyer is currently being arrested as an accomplice, Dad," I replied. "And as for the cards, well, you said it yourselves. It's just one day. It's just a ski trip. I figured you didn't need money where you're going." "Emily, please." My mother sobbed into the background. "We have nothing. You have each other," I said. "Isn't that what you always told me? That Tyler was the priority." "Well, now he's a federal inmate, and you are two homeless people in the middle of a Colorado winter. Enjoy the learning experience, Mom." I hung up and tossed the burner phone into the lake. 1 year later, the Carter name was a curse. My father was serving 10 years for fraud. Tyler was in a maximum security facility for a laundry list of crimes he was too stupid to realize he'd committed. My mother was living in a state-funded nursing home, the very kind she used to mock. I sat in my office, overlooking the Seattle skyline. Daniel walked in and placed a hand on my shoulder. "They're asking for an appeal," he said. "They want you to testify on their behalf." I looked at a photo on my desk. It was from the wedding, not of me and my parents, but of me and Daniel, standing strong, surrounded by the family we had chosen. "Tell them I'm busy," I said, turning back to my monitor. "Doing what?" Daniel asked with a smile. "Planning my next trip," I replied. "I hear the skiing in Switzerland is lovely this time of year. And unlike Tyler, I always pay my debts."